Maestro, cue it up.
1, 2, ready, go.
I actually like this one. This one's pretty good. It's pretty upbeat. All right. Week 7 is here. We have made it all the way to almost the halfway point of the year. This is the Other League podcast. I am your fearless leader, your commissioner, Christopher Chase Edmonds, also known as, let's give it up, the now 2-4 St. Brown and the Broken Zones. I'm here with my co-host, as always, the idea man behind the podcast, the Steve Jobs to my Tim Cook, Scott Sharp.
As always, happy to be here.
Oh, what a great reference to someone who can't defend himself here. And our special guest of the week, he dressed up for the occasion. He knew that it was a black tie affair, shows up with 90 points on the week, giving my team the win. But gosh, he looks so good. Corey Funderburg.
Yes. And I brought my champagne with me here, so.
Yeah. Normally they make you pay extra for that in the lobby. Glad you have it in a can. You can have it backstage.
Cheers, boys.
Yeah, cheers to you all. Congratulations on a completed week 6. Let's go through the quick week six recap. My team put up 131 points against Corey Funderburg. I moved to 2-4. Corey moves down to 4-2. My team with 131 points, carried by no other than Trevor Lawrence and Austin Eckler, both with 24 points. Scott, is there anything else that stood out to you from this particular matchup?
Very close to having the top scorer and the bottom scorer in the same game. 2 points away, it looks like 2 or 3. Yeah,
we were extremely close. And Corey, the thing that scared me the most about your team was Joe Burrow facing my beloved New Orleans Saints. He put up 32.5 in your flex spot. Tell me what that was like watching Joe Burrow connect in that game.
Well, he's starting to kind of hit his stride. And I'm actually kind of excited for him. I get a lot of offers. People want Burrow, and I'm like, I might want to hold on to him. I was
just to be clear, how many of those offers came from yours truly?
Quite a few. I'll say about 3. But I was more disappointed with my team when it came to I thought maybe Herbert might go off, and then he, as you know, we all saw he kind of let everybody down.
Yeah, Justin Herbert getting shut down, I think, also benefited me, because if it's not a Justin Herbert game, it's an Austin Eckler game.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he was dumping it off to him the entire time. So every time he dumped it to you, I was like, well, there's another point I can't get back. Oh, there's another point I can't get back. So eventually I was like, I'm about to turn the TV off.
I know the feeling. I gotta say though, your pickup of Kenneth Walker paid off. 19 points with a waiver wire pickup of Kenneth Walker. Definitely worthwhile. Yeah.
And it's kind of sad. I drafted him. I had to drop him because he wasn't doing anything, and then I had to spend money to get him back. Key pickup. I'm gonna hold on to him. He's a good keeper, so I'm gonna hold him. So.
Most definitely. Congrats on that for sure. There's your silver lining.
Kind of a bye week hell for both of y'all. 3 players apiece on bye.
Oh yeah. And then they ruled out Taylor late on Saturday, and then or Sunday morning, and then New Orleans receivers are all banged up. So I had very slim pickings that came to getting through that bye.
Looks like y'all both pulled all the right strings though. Made good GM decisions.
Yeah, it looks like we did what we could. Unfortunately, Justin Herbert getting shut down definitely helped me to that victory there. Moving on to our next matchup, we had Wesley facing Gavin. Wesley put up 92, just eking out that last place spot, giving it to Corey here. And then Gavin's team putting up 117. Looks like Gavin's team, once again, really living on the successes of Mark Andrews.
Team MVP, right? Mark Andrews, team MVP for the Birchton Ballers.
I mean, he told us on the podcast that the Mark Andrews draft pick has really kept him in matchups that he might not have been in otherwise.
I don't know if we're doing a trade segment later on, but he offered me a trade for Matt Stafford, and I was offended because of just what I've been through this season with Matt Stafford. After drafting him, and then he was just trash. And I wouldn't give up a bench spot. I wouldn't give up $1 worth of free agent money for Matt Stafford.
Yeah, so what you're referencing there is a trade that we'll definitely take a look at later on in the podcast. But yeah, Matt Stafford in that matchup putting up 11.8. And then on the other side, they were facing Patrick Mahomes with 19 and Michael Pittman Jr. putting up 26 points for Wesley, but couldn't get him into triple digits overall. So that matchup finishes with Gavin now going 2-4 and Wesley going 500, 3-3. Next matchup is all yours, Scott. Team Grit coming off their hot streak of one victory, unfortunately losing to Corey Eller. So now it looks like you're sitting at 1-5. Tell me about this week for you. It looks like Tyreek Hill put up another banger, but other than that, struggling.
Tyreek Hill, and then a week of disappointments from there. Kirk Cousins remains to be a pretty good pickup as far as quarterbacks go. Probably league average, a little bit above, but I'm happy with him. Carson Wentz, riding the roller coaster, baby. You're either going to get fucking 4 points or you're going to get 26. Who knows? This week we got 4 points. I still am not at a point where I hate my team. David Montgomery at 9. You want more than that, you want a little bit more than that. I think the story for me, looking at it, I got George Kittle on the bench with 16. That was the game changer. If I replace him and Higbee, I win that game. Right, that's the game changer for me. Tough loss. Hate to see it, but I don't hate my team. I still think we're in there. CeeDee Lamb could have done better. Could have done worse. You kind of need him to carry you. So I think we were projected pretty close for a long time, and then my team just kind of shit the bed. And followed by Monday Night Football is really what fucked me.
Monday Night Football has been punishment for all of us, whether we're involved in the matchup or not. It's just been punishment for all of us who are staying up to watch.
Yeah, I got fucked on that one.
Has Kamara scored a touchdown for you yet? Because he did pretty good points for not even having a touchdown. I don't think he's got one yet for the year.
I don't honestly know the answer.
Looking at the game log, looks like Alvin Kamara has played 4 complete games. He's missed 2, and out of that, he has 0 touchdowns.
Yeah, so he might be a gem in the rough for you there. He's starting to kind of hit his stride, hopefully, and the touchdown soon.
I mean, everybody on the Saints is hurt, so it's got to go somewhere, right?
I think he's just a volume guy. He is their offense.
Scott, can I tell you who your biggest enemy is right now on the New Orleans Saints offense? No, Scott, come on, buddy. You're positive self-talk. We got to get you out.
I'm my biggest enemy.
No. You got to believe in Team Grit. That's not very gritty of you to say that.
Maybe I need to change my team.
Your biggest enemy on the Saints offense is actually Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill is
I agree with that.
Such a gadget package player, and especially now with Jameis not in, it's good. It's the Andy Dalton show. Andy Dalton's going to throw the ball, or Taysom Hill is going to be in during packages where you would expect Alvin Kamara to get those good touches inside the 20. They're going to throw Taysom Hill in there to run some quarterback draws, or they're going to line him up and do some trickery. I'm just watching as a Saints fan. I love it. But if I was the manager of Alvin Kamara on my fantasy team, it would drive me up a wall watching his touchdowns get poached by the Storm and Mormon.
The Saints just need a quarterback at the end of the day. Jameis wins is not the answer.
We have him. We just call him a tight end. We just call him a tight end and label it Taysom Hill.
Can you alternate him like between quarterback and tight end? Like, is that an option? Could I put him I know he's not available, but if I had him, could I put him as a quarterback?
So funny enough, in ESPN, he does not have quarterback eligibility, but if he starts a game at quarterback, it will then process through ESPN to where he might have quarterback eligibility. I think they do it based on whether or not they start the game in that position and where he's listed on the official depth chart. But I know for a fact the Saints will not start him at quarterback, because if they do, they have to pay him that extra money in his contract.
Oh, good point. That's a good point.
They're going to keep him at tight end and just put him in on the second drive if they have to.
And you could always play him as your flex too. I know, I think Matt picked him up last week hoping for some magic, and he didn't really do much for him, because it's kind of what all the analysts are saying. He's like a hit or miss kind of thing. He's going to either go off, or he's just going to give you 1 point and call it a day.
I mean, he had a 30-point week out of nowhere, and went full Travis Kelce and just scored touchdowns left and right.
That's nuts.
Yeah. So sorry about that, Scott, but that would be the ultimate flex move, would be to flex Taysom Hill, a tight end who's also kind of a quarterback, but also kind of a running back and sometimes a receiver. Ultimate flex move. Next matchup, we have our reigning champion, Matt Kumar, scoring 93 points. So just eking out Wesley, not breaking triple digits though, losing to, it looks like Patrick Dragon putting up the league high 133, now going 4-2. Looks like this evened it out between Matt and Pat, and Josh Allen once again proving that quarterback superiority reigns supreme. 26.36 for Josh Allen. On the other side, Jalen Hurts, a rare down game, 16.9. It's funny, a 16.9 performance from Jalen Hurts. Yeah, you and I would definitely kill for
it. If that was down for my quarterback play, I'd be ecstatic.
Yeah. Yeah, and honestly, Clyde Edwards-Helaire only put up 3. This is another one where Patrick definitely left some points on the table. Justin Fields, in sitting on the bench, put up 18.4 in this game. Yeah, that was the unexpected one too. So definitely some points on the table, but I don't think you're going to start Justin Fields over Tom Brady in your flex. That's a purely on principle. You can't do it, right?
Yeah.
Do we?
I was about to say Brady hasn't though. He's really hadn't gone off this year though. That's one thing. I keep waiting for him to be like boom, but wasn't there some drama last week about him yelling at his offensive line and
oh yeah,
and causing some turmoil there, and so we don't. I'm wondering if the GOAT is finally kind of becoming a GOAT and needing to go out to pasture.
Corey, Corey, I only ask you this because you're dressed appropriately as a refined gentleman as you are. How old are you?
35.
Okay, Tom Brady is in his 40s, and let me ask you, as a man who's 35, do you feel like at some point you would just be over the whole thing? You should be done. Just be over it.
Oh yeah, yeah, most definitely. I'm like, I do that with my job daily. So I can't imagine I mean, I know he's got a love for the game, but at some point you kind of, it's kind of when it comes to the guys that get that age, you have some people, and this kind of goes with work. You've got some guys that like they love it so much, but they're out of touch. They need to retire, and then you got some people that retire early, and you wish they stuck with it. So he's kind of at that point. I think I just don't want him to see what Brett Favre did. Brett Favre retired and then came back and then retired, and I'm like, all right, go right out in the sunset, go down as a great, call it a day. That's for some folks, I bet it's kind of tough to do.
Do we think that Pat successfully trades Tom Brady this season?
He keeps trying to pawn him off.
To everybody for anything.
And I got to be honest with you, it's tempting every time because if I want to believe as soon as Tom Brady gets all of his receivers back who are healthy, he'll put it together. I would think with all the stuff he has going on, he would want to just laser focus on football. But I mean, I think you bring up a good point, Corey. It's like at some point, this is a 40-something-year-old man. How is he going to connect with these players who are 23, 24, 25, who are they're in charge of his protection? Like his linemen, his linemen have to believe in him to a point. And if he's just sitting there, imagine just getting your butt chewed out by some old timer who's been in the same job his entire life. And you're like, yeah, I got it. I know. I don't want to be here either. I move on.
What do we really accomplish there too by just getting in somebody's face and just getting after them? Is that going to make them try that little extra bit harder to really fucking get after it, or what? What do we think?
To me, if anything, it's going to lose you the locker room. Granted, I'm not here to tell Tom Brady how to play football and how to win championships and win over a locker room. He's done that. My thinking is I think the game has changed. I think Tom Brady just might be to that point where it's going to come down to the people around him. Now, we always said it was a Belichick thing. Like, how much did Belichick really contribute to Tom Brady's legacy? But I think without his best friend Gronk, without Belichick, without some of those supporting pieces, without Mike Evans for a significant portion of the start of the season, without Chris Godwin, I don't know, man. It's tough sledding.
It is significant to note, and I don't want to sit here and go on and on about this game. I think we can move on after this, but it's significant to know that Brady lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is the team that caused so much confusion with you and Pat when you thought that he almost made you cry because he said worst team in the league. You thought he was talking about you. He was talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers, who just beat the GOAT.
That is accurate. Tom Brady did lose to the second worst team in the league, second only to me, according to Pat. because Pat likes to hurt my feelings.
If Pat were on this podcast, he would say worst team in the league.
No, that was a really funny miscommunication. At least that's what I'm telling myself, so I sleep at night. Moving on to the next matchup, we had Alex Orbeck putting up 110 and losing only by 2 points to Alex Dragon. The Alex Bowl comes down to the Denver Broncos in primetime. Not just primetime, but the Denver Broncos in primetime overtime. And Russell Wilson and Cortland Sutton, he only needed 2 points. One connected pass in overtime would have done it. And absolute jack squat.
Broncos are tough. Terrible. Broncos are done. Yeah, they're done. Right?
It's tough to watch them.
Hey, good news, guys. We've only got to watch them a couple more times in primetime, but it's also later in the season, so it'll be full tank season. Or what are the odds we see another Broncos starting quarterback besides Russ?
No.
You don't think so?
No. Yeah. You give him all that money. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. I don't think so.
I think here's my hot take, and I'm sure this will get roasted by Matt and friends in the group me. Here's my hot take for the podcast. I think by the time the season's up, we see another Broncos starting quarterback. And I will caveat that and say, I think it's because he leans into that injury that he has. I think if the season goes to shit, the pressure gets too much, I honestly think he's going to say, you know what, this is a time for me to get right. I'm going to do a surgery, whatever. I got a rehab, like something. The storyline is going to be about that injury, but also it's going to serve the fan purpose of seeing a different quarterback at the helm.
If it's injury related, yes. Okay.
Yeah. I can
is it fake injury? Possibly. Who knows? I don't know.
I don't know if you guys saw it, but there was a beat writer for the Broncos who tweeted out, and the first thing he said was, Russell Wilson's injury is a real injury. Like that does not have to be reported.
I promise you guys.
Yeah, that does not have to be reported if your team's doing well. If your team is doing really bad and people are blaming you for it, and you say, "Oh God, my shoulder, man, it's just like, yeah, it just hurts really bad." That's when a reporter is going to call you out and say, "This is this a real thing?" and feels the need to report that. So just a fun little nugget, which I think lends credit to the theory that we might see a different starting Bronco.
How do you fix the Broncos? If you had like 2 things to do right now to fix them, what do you do?
I mean, their defense is solid. Like
the defense is good, right?
You don't touch the defense. Pat Surtain is a stud on defense. You don't touch the defense.
No.
Was it the Raiders or the Broncos they were talking about? We need to simplify things. And then it's like, how much more simple can you go when you're running the ball and then you do pass action? So,
it was the Packers. What I heard, it was the Packers. Aaron Rodgers saying we need to simplify it. Was Aaron Rodgers saying that?
I wonder how much losing Javonte had to do with the trajectory of the Broncos and what Russell Wilson wants to be able to do. Because if they built this whole team around Javonte, who has a very unique type of running ability, and they suddenly don't have that, they have to fill that in with a Mike Boone, a Melvin Gordon, who the coach hates apparently and decides to bench for no reason. And now they're filling it in with a Latavius Murray, old man Latavius. Love to see him doing well in the league. It's, you wonder how much of it is, okay, we had this whole thing designed for one particular type of player, and now we don't have that. But at some point, Russ has got to, if you're a superstar and you're getting paid like a superstar, you got to be a superstar.
Yeah.
So
I think we did a really good job of breaking down this matchup when we look at the 10 minutes we just spent about the Broncos.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, once again, this is kind of a half fantasy football, half degenerate betting group, and then one extra half of Broncos talk.
How old is Travis Kelce?
He's old. You want me to look it up? I'll look it up for you.
He's still tight end number 1. T1.
I mean, look. What blows my mind? Look at Diggs going off with 30, and he's he's getting up there in age, isn't he?
He's that dude. Stephon Diggs is that dude. He's badass.
I had him last year, and he freaking went. He was rock solid almost all year long.
He's got a 26, a 44, a 24, and a 30. Like, wow.
I mean, that's nuts.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce is 33 years old.
Well, I think that's a very respectable age, and I think we should all appreciate that.
I'll put some respect on that man's name.
He is not old at all. Good for him. He has a lot of years
Cheers
left.
to that.
All right, yeah. Cheers to that. Moving on into the standings. It looks like we had a little bit of movement in the standings here, especially in the Eastern Division. In the East, we have Matt now at 4-2, giving us a little bit of leeway, and then Alex coming up at 3-3, and then after that, it's me and Gavin sitting at 2-4, and then Team Grit sitting at 1-5. So only a couple games separating that entire group. Could pretty much be anybody's. There's still, we still have 6 weeks until playoff week. So
What is the trade deadline? When does that usually fall down?
that is an excellent question.
That's a great question.
I will look that up while one of you is talking about something else. In the West, real quick, a wrap up. Alex Dragon leading the division and also leading the entire league. The only team sitting at 5 wins, 5-1. And then Pat Dragon 4-2.
Before we move on, I want to call back real quick because I caught some shit in this in the group meet. If you go back and look, I said we've been sleeping on Alex Dragon. I didn't say he was a sleeper. Some people that's different, right? Those are two different things, ways of thought, right? I've been saying, oh, all of a sudden Alex is doing a really good job, especially from I didn't say it, but from what I've heard, Alex Dragon was the taco of the league last year, right? He wasn't very participatory and those things. I said we've been sleeping on him. I did not say he was a sleeper. Specifically, somebody said, how can he be a sleeper if he's 4-1 and commanding the league? Not what I said, two different train of thought. So
do you feel better?
I do. I'm putting respect on Tossing Lattice, aka Alex Dragon. Great team. I did not make the taco comment. Somebody else called him the taco of the league, which is a reference to the league for those of y'all that don't know.
Yeah, so shout out to both of the Dragon brothers. I'm looking at the standings here, and one of the things I'm able to see is current streak, like which way these teams are trending. Alex Dragon on a 3-game win streak, and then Pat Dragon on a 4-game win streak, both leading the league on their current trends.
Begs the question, is there collusion?
I definitely do not think so.
Is there a dragon collusion happening?
There is nothing those two brothers would rather do than destroy each other in fantasy.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah. Finishing out the standings over in the West, we have Corey Funderburg at 4-2, same as Pat Dragon. So big fight up at the top in this league, in this division, whereas the East, Scott and I, there's a big fight for that second spot. And then we have Wesley Fall at 3-3 and Corey Eller at 2-4. Something really interesting, now that I'm looking at this screen, there is a correlation between the number of moves made so far in this league and the current standings. And you talk about Alex Dragon putting in the work and not being the taco of the league anymore. Alex Dragon, 18 roster moves, 18 pickups or trades, 18 roster moves. And then as you go down the list, you have Matt at 16, Pat at 15, Corey Funderburg at 12, Alex and Wesley at 14, me at 12, Gavin at 13. And then in the bottom two, the 2 single-digit roster move makers, Corey Eller at 7, and then Scott Sharp at 9. So definitely a correlation when you look at the top team making 18 moves so far and the bottom teams making 7 and 9. And
are we overcommitted? Is that what this is?
Overcommitted to your roster that you drafted with?
I mean, yeah, I think
it's very possible. Yeah, so maybe this is a learning experience for those.
It's a gritty move to stick with your guys.
It is very gritty. Does that translate to fantasy success? We will have to wait and find out. Let's move on to a fun segment that we have for you guys called Fantasy Mulligans. Now we're gonna keep this to about 8.5 minutes because what we have left on this call. But the idea of Fantasy Mulligans is if you could have one do-over, if you're on the golf course and you could pay the man and take a mulligan, what would you do? And for starters, I'll go ahead and tell you guys my biggest fantasy mulligan so far in last week's matchup, the week 5 matchup I had against Alex Orbeck. I lost by about 14 points. Sitting on my bench, none other than the aforementioned Gabe Davis, putting up 32 points. If you guys remember that game, Gabe Davis caught the first pass of the game from Josh Allen when they were on the 1 yard line and took it 99 yards to the house.
Yeah, nuts.
The
It was
only
nuts.
thing that makes this even more of a fantasy mulligan than the fact that that one play alone could have made the difference in my matchup is how it happened. I was at the Saints bar in downtown Denver. I had just gotten there, just gotten my mimosa, just sat down and gotten comfortable. And I was sitting on my phone and I told Scotty, all right, I'm going to make a roster move. I need to swap out. I think I'm going to start Mike Williams instead of Gabe Davis. And I make that roster move and I put him in. And no more than 3 minutes later, as I'm watching the pregame for a Saints, the couple next to me at the very next table throws their hands up in the air, spills drinks everywhere. And I just hear from behind me, Gabe freaking Davis, baby. And I look up and I can catch him running the last 30 yards into the end zone. And that just started a day where I got to listen to this couple tell me how dumb I was for benching Gabe Davis when he was scoring 3 touchdowns. So my big fantasy mulligan was I would have loved to have started Gabe Davis 2 weeks ago against Alex Orbeck.
Well, I'll go ahead and jump in with this classy attire. I feel like I'm going to go to the beginning of the story and say that I had the number 1 draft pick from the very beginning, and I sat there and I go, I've got 2 keeper quarterbacks, Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert. I'm going to just go ahead and get me a skill player like a running back. And so far, Taylor has done nothing really for me. He did well the first week, and then after that, it kind of snowballed. So I should have picked up Josh Allen. I just should have got him since quarterbacks are so powerful in this setting that we have. I should just went ahead and maybe hoarded him and put him on the bench or something, or traded Burrow off for another running back. So I was like, man, I should have got him. But in my mind, I was like, this makes sense. I got 2 good quarterbacks. I'll get me a running back. And so far, I'm hoping he comes back this week. I really need him healthy because that's what messed me up last week was I put him on thinking, okay, we're good. And the next thing I know, he scratched for this Sunday, and I could have did a trade or something. And then I was like, too late now. So yeah.
You can't blame you. I mean, that's sound process. And Taylor was supposed to be, that guy.
Yeah.
He was top of the,
Funny
top
enough,
three.
it took a combination of 2 Corys to make a mistake related to Josh Allen before he fell to Pat Dragon, because Corey Eller could have kept Josh Allen for his first round because he drafted him in the 3rd the year previously. Yeah. So between 2 Corys passing up on Josh Allen, Pat Dragon ended up with him.
Yeah.
Good transition right into mine. My mulligan would be my week 1 trade with Pat Dragon, who hasn't lost a trade yet. Whereas I traded Zach Ertz for George Kittle and Antonio Gibson. Solid trade at the time. I was ecstatic about it. I thought, Ertz is great. Kittle he was the guy last year. Just looking at it, Kittle is the number 4 right now, tight end. Ertz is the number 3. Sounds comparable. Sounds like, okay, that's not that terrible. Ertz with 78.9 on the season, Kittle with 35. That hurts. Gibson, total bust. I dropped him this past week. He's been a bust. He's like in a timeshare for the second running back spot now. If I had a do-over, if I had a mulli, I'm not making that trade. I'm not making it, plain and simple. At the time, I thought I was getting great value, and it stacked me in my that trade is what led to the Joe Mixon trade that I did for Tyreek Hill. So maybe that's worked out pretty solid for me in that sense. But if I had a mulli, I think that was it. Honorable mention would be not drafting a quarterback earlier because, again, as Corey just said, they reign supreme in this league.
Well, let me tell you, someone who drafted Austin Eckler first round, who is now currently running back 1. I'm satisfied with that. And then I thought I was going out on a limb by drafting Russell Wilson 2nd round. And I thought I was getting ahead of the game. Like, okay, he's coming into a new offense. I'll take the risk. I'll see what happens. Even if you do draft a quarterback early, Scott, sometimes it just don't work out. Sometimes it just don't work.
But you turned that into a positive, and a net positive, I think, right?
I did. I channeled my inner Patrick Dragon and executed a winning trade. And
Yeah.
speaking of, are we sure that the movie Draft Day wasn't a documentary about Pat Dragon?
I don't think anybody's at this point.
He's definitely on the horn, just working stuff out. He has a landline just so he can hang up the phone on people if they're making trade offers. I believe
it's kind of a volume game with Pat too. Like he's not afraid Tuesday morning to start firing them off.
Yeah, that's smart, and that's why we see that positive correlation between moves and standing. So, who knows? Maybe I need to get on the horn and talk with Pat.
So Vermont last year, it wasn't like this. There was not the trade chaos that we're experiencing at this moment.
We didn't have hardly any trades. I think we had a total of 2 trades last year.
Yeah.
Total?
Someone in the league can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's only a total of 2 trades that happened last year.
What did you shorten the bench? What happened to you?
No, same settings. I think at the beginning of the league this year, I just pointed out, like, it would be really fun if we traded players like Pokemon cards and, try to encourage that. And oh, the hell I half rot is, it's absolute chaos now. Like, it actually looks like the league where everyone's just trading players left and right.
Last year I only traded once, and I traded with Wesley, and I think I traded a TJ Hawkinson for something to run a wide receiver. And I was like, that was it. I was done. I was set. I had Henry and everything. I was like, all right, then this year, man, people are like wheeling and dealing behind the curtains everywhere. I was like, what is this trade? So I jokingly just veto every trade by saying that, like, no trade should go unvetoed because, like George Washington should be the only person, that, unanimously wins something. So, all right,
that's quite the outlook.
I disagree with that theory. I'm just going to put that out there. I don't agree with that whatsoever, but
one veto ain't going to hurt nothing.
It's to the point for me where Tuesday mornings when I get into work, I go to like one of our small conference rooms. And I lay out my spread. I got my notebook, my computer. I got my coffee, my water bottle. By all accounts, it looks like I'm dialed in, but I'm looking at trade stuff, right? I'm trying to see what's happening at this point in time. Like
you start your day with draft day.
Yeah, maybe I need to put a permanent calendar block on my Tuesday mornings from here on out, so that we can see, what the fuck's going to shake down.
All right. With that being said, let's take a quick commercial break, and then we'll come back with waivers and roster moves. All right, after that quick commercial break, we are back, and let's get into Commissioner's Corner here and talk about the waiver report going into week 7. We had the top wide receiver ad of the week, Brandon Ayuk, getting added by Patrick Dragon with an offer of $37. Would anybody like to take a guess on the podcast what the next highest offer was?
20.
Exactly 20. By Gavin Gilmore. You nailed it. Hey, you want to go to Vegas with me this weekend?
I do. Yeah. Let's go to some craps.
Hey, I need you to pick numbers between 1 and 36. All right. And then after that, after Brandon Ayuk as our top ad, we had Rondale Moore going to Matt for $8. Alex Dragon picking up the Patriots defense, still spending money on defenses.
Can you see how much money? Can you see how much money he has left?
I can, but let me tell you, he was smart on this one. He added the Patriots for $6. Next highest was $5 on the Patriots, and then we had multiple offers for $3 and $2 on the same defense. So,
I was going
a lot of people leaning into the Patriots defense.
He's still got $64 left. Alex does. Alex Dragon.
Yeah, he's just nickel and diming these kickers and defenses, getting that little bit of positional advantage every time.
Yep. And I was going to point out Matt's move there to bet $8 to get Rondale Moore. Like, that's a pretty savvy move. Instead of most people would just do an even 5 or 6, he went up to 8. I thought that was a savvy strategy.
Yeah, incredibly savvy, especially since there were no other bids on Rondale Moore. Yes. No, but I always do that. I always try to do a unique number. I feel like 8 is a number that a lot of people won't go for, right? Like, for some reason, people go like, oh, like, what if I do, like, can't be 5, so it'll be 6, or like can't be 10, so it'll be like, I'll go 9. Yeah. Or like 11, right?
I can see 30s, like 7s and 8s are kind of right there that you really decide if you really want to play or not with a 7 or an 8.
Yeah.
What I've learned in doing, so this is the only league I play in that has a free agent auction budget where you actually have fab dollars to spend. What I've learned is you really just got to go with how much money am I okay with spending on this player, and like find that line of, if I actually got him for this amount, am I going to be feeling like an idiot? Am I going to be kicking myself, or can I at least be cool with it? Like, hey, I spent $40 on this pair of pants, but I look pretty good in them. So
Yeah.
Poor Wes spending $50 on Jimmy G, and he just dropped him.
Yeah.
the funniest part about that to me, especially after this conversation, is that he spent $51 on Jimmy G, thinking obviously that someone was definitely going to spend 50.
The funniest part to me is that he made every fucking trade possible for every player on my team, including Jimmy G, making the argument he's a QB 10, top 10. He's gonna be a thing. He's gonna be and then he fucking drops him, and I can go get him on the waivers.
Man, it happens to the best of us. I'm still hanging on for dear life to Kenny Pickett, because I saw that Alex Orbeck picked him up previously. I wanted Kenny Pickett because I do feel like there's something there. He did clear concussion protocol, so thank goodness. So yeah, like I'm really looking at him as a long-term play on my team, because once all those trades went through and I lost Damian Pierce, I've lost a lot of keeper value. So I'm looking at Kenny Pickett as a free agent pickup who, if he sticks around and like it's actually Kenny Pickett time in Pittsburgh and they get it together and build an offense around him in the offseason, I'm ready for it, man. I would love to have him as the last round keeper next year. Worth the $8.
Fun fact I want to point out, notice my 2:28 a.m., 2:34 a.m. transaction times. Sometimes insomnia can work in your favor and you can get ahead of the early waiver action. So I really got that Broncos D, Antonio Gibson, that is out there for the world now if you want him.
Yep. No, I saw that. That's actually a good point. We have 3 time zones represented in this league. So there's definitely some advantage. I think Gavin might have moved to upstate New York just so he can get an edge on waivers.
Oh, because that poor guy still got $90 in his free agent budget. So I don't think he's spending anything.
Well, you say poor guy. He's not poor. He's got $90.
True. I take that back, Gavin. You're not a poor guy. You're the richest out of all of us.
Yeah, let's say he should be wearing the tux, not you. Did you rent it from him? Is that how he gets more fab?
I did. Gavin actually, this is on loan.
Yeah, that's how he gets more fab. Other notable ones besides the Patriots defense going to Alex Dragon, Matt Ryan. So a quarterback pickup, Matt Ryan for Indianapolis going to Team Grit for $5 and dropping Carson Wentz. You're getting off the Carson Wentz roller coaster.
And he broke his finger. We don't know what the future looks like. They're talking about an IR stint for him. I don't know how you break your finger and come back. Yeah, I watched that game a little bit. Not that he was any good beforehand, but it affected him for sure.
And then another one, this is a player that has frequently been off and on with our waiver reports, Dalton Schultz. Dalton Schultz, who was one of my late round keepers this year, ended up getting injured. And then with Dak not being at quarterback, Cooper Rush wasn't looking his way. So he's been picked up and dropped a couple times. I believe Matt had him at 1.2. And then Deshaun Watson getting added ahead of the end of his suspension for $1 going to Wesley Fall.
Yeah, that
Have
was
you no shame.
I sent Wes an angry message though, because I was going to wait a few more weeks and then I might have thrown it and picked him up and put him on the bench. And then I sent him a message today. I was like, "Come on, dude, this is early for you to be picking him up." And he was like, "What did he say? What did he say in the group meeting?" He said something about he's playing chess while we're all playing checkers.
Yeah, Wesley's out here playing 4D chess, picking up a questionable person, much less a football player. I just think for moral reasons, we should all shun Wesley and just go ahead and cancel him. I think that makes the most sense.
Yeah, good job, Wes, for picking up a convict. It's okay. Hey,
yeah. Way to support that man. Yeah, you know what? Wesley always said that he did support everything he did on and off the field.
Oh man.
All right. So moving on.
It's week 13. He doesn't come back until week 13.
Yeah, it's crazy early. Crazy early.
Wow.
A lot of confidence in team Patty the Batty to pick up.
What is your
You're literally just that's a playoff flyer, right? That's all it is.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Or a keeper for next year.
I think that's more the play. I think it's more like, okay, if he comes back and takes over the role, I'm wondering how this is going to affect my David Njoku status. So we'll see how that goes. Moving on to the trades. We only had one trade that processed recently. We had James Conner getting traded away by notorious trade winner Pat Dragon. Traded away James Conner to the Birchton Ballers, Gavin's team, for Matthew Stafford. Scott, how do you feel seeing Matt Stafford getting traded this way for James Conner?
Well, I mean, it's a wash. I think ultimately neither one of them are going to do anything for anybody.
Is this James Conner hurt currently?
Yeah, I thought so. I thought he was down for a bit.
Yeah, he's hurt currently. So,
but is he even the number one guy anymore?
I think that's the question. Also, let's be for real. That Arizona offense is not predictable in any way, shape, or form. They have so many moving pieces with Hollywood going down, James Conner being questionable, Hopkins coming back. No one knows what that offense is going to be. And we know Kyler Murray doesn't know what that offense is supposed to be because he's too busy playing Call of Duty.
He's playing COD every night.
I mean, and it shows. Like it looks like everything is a broken flag football play that he's doing. But you hold your nose, you close your eyes, and if you have an Arizona Cardinal pass catcher, you just go with it.
That's his MO, though. That's what he does. He just like scrambles and just runs and does his thing. And if somebody's there, he'll throw it. If not, he'll just fucking run it and get smoked and might get hurt,
Yeah. You guys got anything before we move on to the week 7 matchups, looking ahead into this upcoming week?
No, let's get at it.
Let's get after it. All right. So coming up, my beloved St. Brown in Broken Zones at 2-4, facing Corey Eller, also at 2-4. I will be watching this one carefully. I am trying really hard. I'll be watching Kyler Murray. I'm trying really hard not to pull for Hopkins coming back. As much as I want to see Hopkins do well, I don't want to see Kyler Murray do super well against me. So I'll be watching that game for sure. I'm currently projected to win, but we both only have 8 players slotted in our lineups. I think we're waiting for some injury designations to occur. Wesley at 3-3 facing off against your beloved Team Grit. Scott, your matchup looks like your projected scoring leader is going to be Tyreek Hill.
Oh yeah, that's going to be week in and week out. It'll be Tyreek. He's a beast, to be honest. And I'm projected to win by 2 points. And projections don't mean anything, I know, but it just feels good to be able to say that out loud. I don't know, winnable game, I think. I'll be honest, this lineup doesn't scare me. Pretty top heavy. Yeah, Patrick Mahomes.
Will repeat? You think Matt Ryan will repeat?
No. I don't. I'm not buying into that. I just needed something. I'm not buying into that hype or I'm not buying into that whatsoever. I just need it because I had Kirk Cousins who's on bye and Wentz who just broke his finger. So I needed to get something out there that wasn't Matt Stafford. That's how adamant like the Gibson for Stafford trade was like a good offer. It wasn't like I was ashamed or like embarrassed that he offered me that. I just for those of you that don't know, I was offered Matt Stafford for Antonio Gibson. I just will refuse to touch Stafford ever again, ever. I don't even want to look at him or watch a game ever again. So, but yeah, I'm not intimidated by this lineup. Top heavy, Mahomes and Saquon, but outside of that, Dak coming back. What do we think there? What's going to happen there?
I was going to say that's going to be the biggest wild card in this one is if Dak Prescott. So he's got 2 players coming back. He's got Hopkins in a wide receiver slot projected at 14, and he's got Dak Prescott slotted into that super flex projected at 19. That's really going to be the deciding factor. It's going to be DeAndre Hopkins coming back.
Yeah.
If he's actually going to get that volume that he usually has in his career. And then Dak Prescott, if he can actually come back and be somewhat decent. I mean, we haven't even seen a full game from Dak yet this whole year. So who knows?
Well, and Pittman too, though. Pittman can go off at any moment. He can put up 28, 29.
But he's got Jeff Wilson is a good running back, but he's unpredictable too. Like there's sometimes he goes off, and there's sometimes he's past week he barely got 0.5 or what was his
0.5?
Yeah.
Scott, really, like
this will be a fun matchup. You guys are both projected over 125. It should be a fun one to watch.
Yeah.
Corey, your matchup, you're currently projected over 130 facing off against reigning champ Matt Kumar. Your current projecting leader is going to be Justin Herbert at 21 facing off against Seattle at home. You feeling more confident in Herbert these days?
Not after last week, but we'll see what happens. We'll see if he shows up. Matt's got the bye bug, I think. He's got half his team is out on bye, and so lucky I got him that week. Somebody said something early in our group meal a while back about what voodoo am I doing, and I just think I'm working the schedule in my favor. Let's just say that.
Hey, sometimes it's just got to line up for you. Sometimes
What,
it just works out that way.
Matt is just these empty rosters last week, not playing a kicker, and now we don't have a defense on there.
I do think Matt's waiting for an injury distinction. He's got 3 players questionable currently. If one of them goes IR eligible, he'll pick it up. I don't think Matt's maliciously trying to like game any system here. If anyone's hard and fast about like spirit of the game and playing by the rules, it's gonna be Matt, based on what we've seen. So yeah, I don't think there's anything malicious here. I honestly think he's just waiting for injury designations.
He doesn't have a quarterback in his flex there either. That's an interesting note.
Yeah, he doesn't. And honestly, I'm taking that same strategy, but it's not because I have the luxury of Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts like he does. It's because I have necessity of no good quarterbacks.
Well, yeah, and Hurts is on bye. That's just what I was pointing out there, that he can't do that dual quarterback because he's got 2 good quarterbacks. And Justin Jefferson. Hey, Matt's weak this week. He's beatable this week. Jefferson's on a bye. Hurts is on a bye. Cooper Kupp's on a bye.
For what it's worth, Matt's been beatable ever since he made the Justin Jefferson trade.
Whoa! Shots fired at Matt Kumar.
No shots. No.
Not
Honestly,
invincible. He's beatable. It's officially Matt Kumar is beatable.
Well, let's give credit where credit's due. That's not a shot at Matt. That's a shot at all of us for shitting on that trade with all the force our bowels could muster. And realistically, I mean, there were risks in that trade that I don't think any of us were really looking at. We just saw name value and reacted pretty strongly. Turns out that trade might have been cursed.
No, I don't give it any credit whatsoever. Well, it's at season's end. Like it's always, you can never trade or judge a trade at that moment in time. Season's end, we'll see where it's at.
Yeah, we should do a trade review episode. One of these days we'll do a special segment once we get later on the season. Maybe as we get into playoffs, we'll do a trade review segment and see. We'll grade trades. We'll see. We'll do a trade grader. Feedback
has been overwhelming. People love the podcast. People are clamoring for more material. So we can seasons in. We can do a look back at what was seasons in.
I'm intrigued to see who Matt drops if he does pick up a defense. Like, will he actually let go of his Philadelphia Eagles defense to get somebody, or is he going to actually,
I gotta say, there are few things better in this world than having the defense for the team you actually root for on your fantasy team, because no matter what, you're pulling for your defense. Right. It is so annoying when you have to watch your hometown team go up it and you're like, oh, stop him. But wait, don't stop that guy. Stop that guy. But like, if it's a pass though, let him go. You don't want to be thinking about it. So if I were him, I wouldn't drop Eagles D. Like, the Eagles D's been good. And
I think he needs to get rid of
that's your team.
Get rid of Jalen, Matt, if you're looking.
Yeah, just drop Jalen Hurts. It's fine.
Drop Jalen Hurts. Trust me.
All right, moving on to the next one. We have Alex Orbeck at 3-3 facing off against Pat Dragon, who's on a hot streak, as we noted before, sitting at 4-2. But the projected totals currently have Alex Orbeck winning. Even when Pat Dragon slots in a kicker, it looks like it'll still be Alex projected higher, thanks mainly to Christian McCaffrey, and looks like Jalen Waddle has an edge. Travis Kelce, that's the biggest edge, is a 17-point projection against a 12-point Zach Ertz. Travis Kelce could be fantasy cheat codes.
Ertz, though, I mean, look at Ertz's points. He has not been under double digits all season.
I'm so jealous. Tight end is a wasteland. Absolute wasteland.
Good God, though. Look at Travis Kelce's points for.
I choose not to because I like being able to sleep, Scott.
Unbelievable.
You're forgetting I got Travis Kelce. I could have weathered the storm if it wasn't if I had not benched Gabe Davis in that freaking bar with all the Buffalo Bills people. All right. Last matchup we're going to go through. Alex Dragon sitting at 5-1, also riding a significant hot streak, leading the league. Projected at 120, 10 points more than Gavin Gilmore's Birched and Baller, sitting at 2-4. Looks like Tua, if Tua's healthy and he plays up to Tua standards, could give him an advantage there because Gavin is starting Ryan Tannehill in the RB1 spot, Daniel Jones in the super flex. That's definitely the weakness on that team going into this week. Yeah, I'm seeing positional advantages all the way down the board. Derrick Henry should be just fine against the Colts. Leonard Fournette should be just fine against Carolina. That's a terrible team and a trash organization. Tyler Lockett against the Chargers. I'm intrigued to see what Geno Smith does. I'm facing off against Geno Smith this week. So I'm really intrigued to see what happens with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. DK Metcalf touchdowns, please. We would like to see those. Tyler Lockett, not so much.
It's a tough bye week for both teams, to be honest. If you look at what they have.
Yep. On bye for both teams, we have Stephon Diggs, Dallas Goedert, Devin Singletary, Madison, who's a handcuff, but also that means Dalvin Cook is out for Gavin Gilmore. So yeah, it should be a fun week. It looks like everybody is projected triple digits. We'll see if that holds up. Would love to see everyone in the hundreds. You guys have anything for closing? Anything you're looking forward to this week? I know for me, I'm about to catch a flight tomorrow morning and I will be in Las Vegas. I will be watching the New Orleans Saints take on the Arizona Cardinals at a sports book at a rooftop pool in Vegas. I've already got my tickets and I am pumped. Cannot wait to see my beloved Who Dat Nation show up in Vegas.
That sounds really cool.
I can't wait. I cannot wait. I'm already like, I have a black swimsuit just so I can still be a representative Saints fan at the pool.
Yeah, as this is a league with people from the South, I am most excited for my Ole Miss Rebels. This is college football. I know not NFL football, but great season. Currently, for anybody, who might be in the SEC West, currently Ole Miss is number 1 in the West, ahead of every other team that might also be in the West that other people might be fans of. So really excited. We play a tough game at LSU, Death Valley. I will be tuning in for every second. I don't expect to win this game. Death Valley is impossible to win at. We have been overachieving, I think, to a degree. We whooped Auburn. You're welcome for that. We did whoop up on Auburn. So that is my highlight of the weekend.
Scott, are you trying to alienate every single person who watches the podcast?
I just want to have my moment of glory. And I also want to point out that I, against all of Lincoln, Nebraska last weekend, was rooting for Alabama. No matter, I was vocal, I was clapping, I was doing the thing. My former boss was there. He was spitting all over me. I had to cover my drink to make sure the spit wasn't going in there. But we held it tight. We held it strong against the rest of Lincoln, Nebraska. I was cheering for Alabama to win.
There you
that
go.
said,
I'm proud of you.
That said, Ole Miss is we're number 1 right now in the West. And so for this week, and this week alone, while I have it, because I don't feel confident that I'm going to have it next week, I'm going to acknowledge it. That's all I'm doing.
LSU doesn't look as strong as they have in the past. I mean, they're beatable. They're
really
beatable.
Are. They're beatable. They're just our kryptonite, like that is our, like they don't really consider us a rival, and that's fine. Okay, I get that. But that's our rival. That's our big one. We don't consider Mississippi State a rival anymore. They're beneath us, right? And that's where. And so I forever will be like, yeah, any game against LSU on the road, tough game. They're beatable. I won't be shocked if we win, but I'm not predicting it.
All right. Before this turns into too much of a college football podcast, Corey, what's your highlight this week? What are you looking forward to?
I'm just glad to see that I'm projected 130 points. I just hope that my team actually shows up for once. Half the team's off their bye, so I'm kind of pumped. Maybe I can get back to the triple digits again. That'd be nice. But it's also nice to be able to just say I'm looking forward to see these O's and these Q's to get off my line. That's another thing I'm looking for.
You have a lot of Saints, so I don't know if that's going to change much.
I know. I want Olave to do great, but man, I need him to get off that concussion protocol.
Yeah. Hey, don't forget to swap him out since he's playing on the short week. I'm looking at it now. It looks like he's designated out. So when you get off here, don't forget to swap him out. And that's going to do it for us on the Other League podcast. Thank you, Corey, for joining us. And thanks for dressing up for the occasion. It's about time we had some style on here.
I appreciate it. I felt like I needed to dress up for the award of scoring the lowest out of everybody. Somebody's got to keep it classy. That's all I got to say.
It's an honor. It's been an honor.
It's dignified out of you. It's dignified.
All right. Cheers, boys. With that being said, good luck in week 7. And I'm going to hit the music.